Hello, and welcome to episode 138 of the Player 3 podcast. I'm your host, Luke Croft, and alongside me we have the always visually stunning Larry Hunt.
Hi.
Also joining us today, he can fix you a nice, delicious glass of Pepsi and steal your daughter's heart. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Martin.
Hey, everybody!
And we have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about games as service. We're going to look forward to E3 2018, and we are also going to talk about incomplete games. But before we get into all of that, how are you guys doing, my friends?
I am drinking blood.
What?
Orange Diet Coke.
Oh! He got us. So the new Coke flavors, is that the only one you've had, Larry?
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you about
Okay. All right.
the regular, like full strength peach Coke. They serve it in bottles. It's like it comes in bottles. They've got peach and raspberry. There might be more. I don't know.
Is this
But
a new thing?
Yeah.
When they have
pretty
those
neat.
Coke remix machines, I always get raspberry Coke with a little bit of vanilla in it.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
Let's hug.
Oh.
Oh, like the Wendy's machine.
Just
where
watch my nip guard right here. Just for Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. Just the left one.
In case my shirt comes off, I've got Band-Aids on both and X's over both.
That's
of them.
actually not a rule anymore on Twitch.
Hey!
Please don't still. I mean, just for our sake and our viewers' sake.
And my job, probably, right?
And your job, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that.
all these things are considerations. So, anyway, peach flavored Coke. I gotta look into that.
It's kind of hard to find, but I found one.
How long has this been a thing?
I don't know. But a few weeks ago, when it snowed, I was at Woody's and I saw a bottle of peach Coke, and I was like, "Well, Daddy needs to scoop that." And so I scooped it, and it was delicious. It was the best thing I've ever had. Daddy loves peach. I'm Daddy, in case you were wondering.
I'm picking up, but not quite yet. Child's still not here. Correct.
Correct.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, but
We're down in the basement. Cell service is a little spotty.
Uh-oh.
What? It's not spotty. You're
Okay.
good. I mean, it's a little spotty. I'll be honest, it is spotty. All right.
You're spotty.
Well, now that we are here and doing amazingly, let's get this show started with some announcements.
Announcements? That's not how we get started every week.
Anyway, now that we've got you here, we are the Play 3 podcast. We get together every Monday over here on twitch.tv/Play3podcast, talk about video games, all that sort of stuff, then push it out to you on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, youtube.com/Player3podcast. Subscribe, comment, review, whatever you can do to show us some support. Do it. And Larry will read it in a different accent every time. And just for a heads up, Larry has no accents. He can do no accents.
I have pretending I'm not West Virginian and admitting I'm West Virginia. Those are basically my two.
You do have two voices. You have the you're talking to me voice and like the talking to your church people voice.
Yeah.
And you go really like you've worked in the coal mines a lot.
I tend to like mirror the people I'm talking to, which is offensive overseas.
But it's also a natural thing. Like that's
I can attest to that. When I worked at the restaurant, there were a lot of Mexican guys that worked in the kitchen, and I would talk to them. And I don't mean like Mexican as in anything that speaks Spanish or anyone that speaks Spanish. I mean actual Mexican people. And so I would talk to them, and sometimes I would try to, like, because there's a language gap, I would try to make things sound like I'm speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
Not like that kind of broken, like, stereotypical accent, which seems really racist, but it actually needed to be done. Like, it helps. And sometimes now when I go to Mexican restaurants, I think you've been with me one time when I started to speak in, like, broken English, and it just sounded real bad, and I was like, I'm sorry, guy, I work at a restaurant.
I think we do tend to do that though. Like, and even like when you were working at the restaurant and you would come be our waiter, like just the way you talk, you're like upbeat.
Yeah, you
talk with a different cadence. Like it's just the way it happens. I did the same thing with church people. Like,
Yeah.
But anyway, welcome to the stream, Humble Brag King and Less is More 206.
Hey, Humble Brag King, welcome back. Real quick, before we move on from weird ways of talking, I hate though when people like there's a language barrier and they like their solution is to talk louder. Like that's gonna help. There was this manager at Starbucks in the nearby Starbucks a year or two ago. A woman spoke a different language and I felt so bad for the customer because the manager was like, "No, you ordered blah blah blah." And I'm like, this isn't helping. You just sound like
a jerk. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, and Zephyr is here. Zephyr, what is up?
This is the best stream ever.
Yeah. So, all right.
Missing out, Leanna Wallace.
Leanna.
Hey, gentlemen, and Seth.
Anyway, another announcement. We are doing a lot more regular streaming over here on twitch.tv/play3podcast, playing a ton of Overwatch. So follow us, hit the notification thing so that your phone will light up every time that we're live over here.
We're trying to get good, and there have been improvements.
There have been improvements.
Have there though?
Until you got on. So, all right. Let's start this show the way we get every show started with what have you been consuming? Larry, what have you been consuming, my friend?
Blood. Orange Diet Coke. And it is quite okay.
Oh, yeah. I was going to talk about these other flavors. So you got the blood orange. They have a new cherry that is not that great. It's kind of, it like has a spicy aftertaste.
But those are all the diets, right?
This has a spicy aftertaste.
It's the black cherry.
There's like is there ginger in this?
It's called feisty cherry.
Feisty cherry?
Yeah, feisty cherry.
What does that mean?
I don't know. But then they have a lime ginger that also has a spicy aftertaste, but it has the ginger in it.
I think they're all ginger.
And then they also, mango. Mango does not have a spicy aftertaste. I enjoy the mango and the blood orange. So
I like ginger ale and stuff. Have you ever tried the Pepsi 1863 or whatever?
No.
Well, it's like the cocktail Pepsi, right?
Yeah. It's delicious. But there's a plain one, and then there's a ginger one. And I got the ginger one time, and I was just so thirsty. I just slammed that thing straight back, just swallow immediately, and did not anticipate the level of ginger. It was beyond ginger ale.
A lot of ginger.
It just my sinus cavity was just in agony. I immediately just spit ginger soda all over my car.
I could breathe in color.
So I've also been consuming lots of Overwatch, and
Les says, wait, what? That's a thing? Blood orange Diet Coke? Take out the diet, take out the Coke, add lemonade. Oh, man. Hitting shelves later this summer, blood orange lemonade from Les Cross.
Wouldn't that be Orangeade?
Orangeade. Minute Maid makes an Orangeade.
They call it orange juice.
What? Oh, so we went to a Mexican restaurant a couple weeks ago.
And had orange juice?
No. So my sister asked what kind of juice that they had for her 4-year-old. And they were like, we have fruit punch and pink lemonade. And she was like, neither of those are juice. We'll take water. So anyway, back to Overwatch. You mentioned you're playing Overwatch.
Lots of Overwatch. Watching lots of videos about Overwatch. Watching lots of videos about Star Wars from Wayward Jedi on the YouTube.
I need to catch up on some of those.
Check him out, yeah. And today I will finally buy my copy of The Last Jedi. I'm running behind because so last week that's all I consumed really. Leading to Easter, working at a church is very busy. So today,
I wonder why.
I will buy The Last Jedi and I will watch it every day for a year.
Okay. Really?
Nah.
Oh. How often do you watch the Star Wars movies?
Pretty frequently. Some of them more than others. I actually don't watch the prequels that often. And I don't hate the prequels like a lot of people. But they aren't as good as the originals.
Yeah, they're flawed.
But I really could watch episode 8 over and over again. And I will.
Okay.
I can't wait to watch the cut that's just John Williams' music and no other sounds.
What is your brother talking about? The macaroni grill?
May it rest in peace. Who knows? So every year we look for, not Ryan's, Quincy's. You guys ever eaten at a Quincy's?
Quiznos?
No, not a Quiznos, a Quincy's. They no longer exist. They're
Quintuplets?
very out of business. But we went one time on either Thanksgiving or Christmas because something happened with dinner. We went to a Quincy's instead. It's like I think they had like a buffet. I was really young, but we always look for Quincy's. And so Quincy's and Macaroni Grill, apparently. May they rest in peace. So, Seth, what have you been consuming?
Oh, like a gallon of raw milk.
Have you tried raw milk? It's awful. I hate it.
What is it? But just
Unpasteurized,
unpasteurized milk,
but it tastes bad.
Just straight from the teat, baby.
It's warm.
But was it breast milk that you tried? Is that what you
What?
Okay.
What?
Okay. Well, that's not pasteurized, right?
What? Oh, man.
I don't know. I've been playing a little bit more Sea of Thieves. Still feel almost exactly the same way, although I still think we'd have some fun if we just jumped in for a while and played. Which is for free, so I don't know why you guys have not done that. But
Larry just got done explaining it was Easter week. He is a minister. It is busy. And I have already explained to you that I am an exclusive Overwatch player now.
Exclusive.
Saturday was my first day off in like 2 weeks.
Well, that's a shame. But anyway.
Don't patronize.
A little Overwatch. Finished up the Tomb Raider. I know last week I was still playing that. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Good game. That's pretty much it. I've been watching a lot of Dragon Ball. Finally got my my Brawly and my Bardock DLC on VB Fighters. So I've been playing that and sucking it up a lot more. Yeah, I've just kind of been like putting my feet in a lot of different waters. Still playing For Honor.
I do love that game.
You have the Luke Croft approach to video games right now. Just playing a bunch of different things.
Yes and no, but I plan to finish them.
Right.
And I do finish. Oh, even the ones that I can't finish, like...
Yeah, I plan to finish them.
I plan, but I never do. I never do.
Every week something new comes out, man, and I want to play it.
I never do.
So, all right, is that it? Is that all you've been playing there?
Pretty much, yeah. Watching a lot of Dragon Ball. I've started GT, and it seems pretty wild.
Gran Turismo, I understand.
Look at this picture of my cat.
Oh my gosh.
Well, why?
So I have been playing copious amounts of Overwatch. I don't think I played anything other than Overwatch this week. I'm trying to think if I played anything on Switch. The Switch has been commandeered by my wife anyway. She's been playing Stardew Valley so much. She is addicted. I've created a monster. But it is good because I've spent a long time trying to find a video game that she will play without my prompting. And now it has become, anytime I leave the room, she turns on the Switch to play Stardew Valley. So
I've noticed she's been on there a lot.
Yeah, tons. She plays the Switch more than I do now. So, and then, let's see. I don't really think I've done much of anything else. I've been watching toxic coaching videos on YouTube from Ragtag, which...
I still haven't given those a shot.
So, it's funny, like... He is toxic, right? Like, so he's a real jerk to the people. But he has these real human moments where he actually points out, like, hey, you are doing this right. If you focus more on doing this, you will be able to climb. But he's also just a real jerk if they mess up anyway. But they're hilarious. You should give them a shot. They're only hilarious. Like 10 minutes long. But yeah, so I spent like all weekend watching those, and that's pretty much it. So.
My current goal in Overwatch is to just become the single greatest Mei that ever lived. I love throwing that ice wall up with surgical precision and just slicing one person off.
Surgical
precision.
All right, let's move on.
Fine.
To the releases of the week.
Clap, clap.
Nothing major coming out this week, but I did want to highlight the free games on whatever, live service that you have. The Xbox games with gold for this month are pretty good, and the PlayStation Plus, there's just a couple notable ones. So, your Xbox games with gold for the month of April, starting the 1st, The Witness is available, and then starting on the 16th, it'll be Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is probably the Assassin's Creed I've gotten the furthest into out of the.
And by that he means Chapter 2.
No, I think I played a solid 10 hours.
See, that had the Jack the Ripper DLC, which I'm surprised you didn't go back to play it.
Yeah, that was the main reason I wanted to play it. And then I just never got around to it. So, and then Cars 2 for the first half of the month on backwards compatibility, and Dead Space 2 the second half of the month, starting on the 16th. So, those are your Xbox games with gold, and PlayStation Plus, Mad Max. These are available starting tomorrow, Tuesday.
Mañana.
Mad Max
Furry Road.
Which is perfect for you because you were talking about wanting to start it on Games Pass. So this
it was free on Games Pass, but I'm probably not going to have that forever. So this is a big open world game, right? Yep. So I feel like it would take me a while to actually play it and finish it and do all the stuff because I like to trophy hunt or achievement hunt. So I'm glad that this will be free now because I'll be able to just keep chugging away at it, even if I decide not to pay $10 a month for Sea of Thieves access, basically.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, it's not going to happen.
Trackmania Turbo also coming.
I don't know what that
arcade
is.
Racing game.
Okay.
Then these are all available crossplay for either Vita and PS3. But Qbert Rebooted and Space Wave Brawl and 99 Vitas with a D. Vidas?
Vidas. Who knows?
But those are your releases of the week.
That's 99 lives in Spanish.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah,
I took
Vidas. Because, living La Vida Loca, Ricky Martin,
Zephyr,
the crazy life.
Zephyr says, I still have AC Syndicate still in the box wrapped. I've been meaning to play it, but work and Hearthstone have been getting in the way. All right. First of all, Zephyr, quit your job. It's only getting in the way of more important things. Second, Hearthstone, play a real game, you nerd. Thirdly, Seth
brutalizing our
Solomon
viewers.
starting and playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate. He knows it's all in love, dude.
Well, here's the thing. When did you buy it? Because if it's been sitting there in the shrink wrap since the day it came out, I'm pretty sure you just wasted $60.
What?
What? Or return it to Walmart. Definitely get your money.
They have Walmarts in
Do
the
they?
UK.
You have Walmarts in the UK.
It's pronounced Walmart.
That's almost as bad as Ben's.
It's a David Tennant. But I mean, it's a really enjoyable game. I had a lot of fun with Syndicate. It's probably number 3 in my Assassin's Creed lineup or something like that.
Of all time?
Of all, four because I don't know in exactly what order, but up there are Assassin's Creed 2 in the time when it was relevant, Origins. What's the
all
thing?
The mobile ones?
Black Flag.
Chronicles?
Black Flag, and then this one. Yeah, so this is probably number 4 out of those 4.
And also, Zephyr did not waste $60 because he doesn't have dollars.
Yeah, they have fake money over there. He just wasted, like, money that he printed off in a 3D printer.
They still have pounds, or is it all euros now?
Oh, it's all pounds, dude. So the fatter you are, the richer you are.
Hmm.
All right, let's move on.
That's how it used to be.
It's a topic. Oh, wait, he said it. I have had it for 3 months or so.
Asda?
We don't have Walmart, but we have Asda, who Walmart owns.
All
right, let's move on to topics. Yeah, we've got some topics for you.
Who's first?
That's a great question. Larry, let's start with
play
you.
rock, paper, scissors for it?
Oh, no? Larry?
Fine.
Oh my gosh, my cat's about to ruin everything. If the camera falls, the cat has ruined everything. So let's start with you, Larry.
Okay, so my topic is inspired by something we talked about last time I was on the show, which has been like 3 weeks ago. I don't know. Anyway, we were talking about how there were these projections that Fortnite is being adopted by so many people that it's going to hurt sales of future video games.
Yes.
And that was really crazy to me. And then I was thinking, all these companies are moving towards games as a service, but there's only a limited amount of people that you can plug into a game. And by its very nature, games as a service, or sorry, I worded that very poorly. There are a limited number of people to plug into games. And by its nature, games as services, you're trying to get someone hooked into your game for the long haul so that they'll shell out that precious microtransaction money so you can cash in that way. But everybody can't do that because if people are hooked into one game, they can't go play another game.
Right.
For example, Luke is now a full-time Overwatch player.
Well, that's only because I've gone pro.
Right.
And I'm being paid handsomely by the Dallas Fuel to play main tank for them. So, that's the main reason. You don't really have time for like fake games like Hearthstone when you're just constantly grinding out in LA in the Blizzard Arena. So, but yeah, I understand what you're getting at here.
So my question is this going to go really poorly for some companies as everyone tries to be games as services?
Well, what do you think, Seth?
I would imagine, yeah, because I don't know. I mean, everybody can't do it right. Some people already aren't doing it right. Mm-hmm. But they still got player bases like Sea of Thieves and like Destiny.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, I'll get into it in my topic a little later. I don't know what the rules mean anymore.
All right.
Well, no, I'm with you. It's really like it's a high risk, high reward thing. If it's done really well, you're gonna make money hand over fist with it, and Destiny 1 being a good example of like a game that started off with a lot of hype behind it that didn't necessarily deliver, but continued to iterate on the game in such a way that like it maintained and grew a player base as it went on. Or games like Fortnite that were just like phenomenons. That is a phenomenon. Phenomenon. Do.
Anemone.
Ah, yes. But I do think there are other, like, I think about Ubisoft, basically everything they're putting out now at this point is a games of service in some sort of way. Maybe not so much like with Far Cry or something like that, but...
Although they do have pretty extensive DLC lined up for it, though. But you have a season pass for that,
right?
Still, right? Okay.
Yeah, so, and that's less of like an online multiplayer kind of deal, right? Where you're not trying to create like a living ecosystem. But there's so many breaking points in a games of service, whether that's like... You have a game like, what was that? Paragon. So that was another game that was designed to be like this living environment that spent so long in pre-release phase that by the time it launched fully, it didn't necessarily have the audience that it had. Or you have a game like the original Destiny, where it comes out and it's just like you're scrambling to try to figure out how to hold a player base. Like there's all these different, or Sea of Thieves, where it was tons of server issues because they had far more players than they originally anticipated having. Like there's all these breaking points that if you reach them, you lose that player base and you lose the monetization that you're trying to create through them. Like a $60 game can turn into, I mean, how much did people spend on the original Destiny? Like hundreds of dollars, right? Between all the expansions and then like Eververse stuff. And if you're banking on that, if that's the way you're projecting it and you don't get to it, it can be something pretty damning for the rest of your studio. Like, so, and there's just only so much mind share to go around, like you're saying, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't have any more solid answers than you guys have. I just wanted to throw it out there for discussion. I imagine that it seems like everybody's about to invest in this model, and for some people it is not going to work out for whatever reason. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
But then you do have publishers like Bethesda who aren't necessarily. I mean, I'm sure they're interested in exploring what it's going to look like, but I think it's a pendulum, obviously, right? Like the more companies swing to this games as a service, the more novel it'll be to have like self-contained single-player games, and the more people will be attracted to your game when that's a thing. That's why Bethesda leans so heavily into the like we still believe in single-player thing at the Game Awards. So I imagine it like we were talking about last week with the EA Star Wars game, where it's like, okay, if you take all this time off to make this game into what's popular now, things are obviously going to be different in 3 or 4 years when you're set to launch that game, and there's going to be some other style of game that's more popular than the one that you switched to this time. So it's the games industry, much like a games as service, is a living environment that constantly changes and evolves, and so it's hard to say if it'll get too crowded before it gets to the point where everybody's wanting something else. So,
all right, that's all I got. Your candle burned out. No, it doesn't smell as good.
Well, there's still one going strong here. Zephyr has to go. Thanks for joining the stream for the little bit of time that you could come in.
Just
Goodbye.
go, Zephyr.
Bye, Zephyr.
Just leave.
All right. Let's move on to Seth's topic, since you teased it a little bit in there.
Okay.
Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
So I want to talk about, basically, kind of in the same vein. We talked about Sea of Thieves last week. Yes. And I don't understand. So we alluded to it already. Sea of Thieves had some issues at launch, like many games do nowadays, in which there's not enough room in the servers, and so people are getting locked out. I think I played the second night it came out for like 20 minutes, jumped off, tried to jump back on before I even realized that they had made the big announcement, and yeah, I was not able to get back in. I like achievements. I was trying to go in and get some quick and easy achievements. A few days later, while I'm playing, they had those turned off totally for like a week, where you just couldn't get achievements. And now that's first world problems, right?
So this is the first I'm hearing about that part. So okay. Was it one of those things that tracked your progress, and when the servers came back online, like the achievements came back online, it would retroactively give them to you?
They said it was supposed to. It did not for me, though.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what was going on with that, but promises. The topic, I guess, in as few words as possible for me, is that when are people going to stop? Well, twofold. When are people going to stop buying stuff because we're going to assume that the right preparations were not made on the part of the company? You have Sea of Thieves, huge game, one of Xbox's like biggest, if not the biggest release of the year for them, probably, right, as a first party. When are people going to start doing the right thing and like making sure that this stuff is airtight and waterproof? How many betas did Sea of Thieves have? Mm-hmm. You have a game that you're giving basically for free or for $10 a month to people. Millions of people, I'm sure, or at least thousands, are getting free trials of this. Right. And they're specifically doing this at the right time for Sea of Thieves to come out. How was this not prepared for?
That's what I don't understand. Before we jump into it, I will jump over here to an article from Kevin Kinizovich over on GameSpot. It says Sea of Thieves is Microsoft's fastest-selling new IP on Xbox One. Which, let me just start here. Mm-hmm. Does that mean anything? I mean, Cuphead, Ori and the Blind Forest. I mean, they were good. There's been good new IP for the Xbox One, but those games, I would say, were more slow burns in terms, and they obviously didn't have the marketing behind it like Sea of Thieves did either. So, is it really saying much? Quantum Break, like, what are the other new IPs that came out for the Xbox One? I think I've covered most of them, right?
Yeah, I read that headline. I was like, oh, well, okay, this doesn't mean anything.
Because the first when I read it, I was like, oh, I just read it as Microsoft, not just Xbox One, and I was like, so this beat out like Halo? And then I read more, and I was like, my reading comprehension skills, I would not be able to pass Seth's high school class. So
you can, but. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to read a little bit of this. It says, it's been a little over a week since Sea of Thieves launched for Xbox One and PC, which hasn't been completely smooth sailing for the ambitious pirate game so far due to some early server and performance issues. The title is already proving to be a success for Microsoft. In addition to topping the UK sales chart in its first week on the market, developer Rare revealed that Sea of Thieves is Microsoft's fastest selling new IP this generation. Moreover, the game has already achieved an impressive milestone, surpassing 2 million players only a few days after it managed to reach 1 million in its first 48 hours. That doesn't necessarily mean the game has sold 2 million copies, however, as it is also free to play for Xbox One Game Pass subscribers. So, don't need to really read anything else there. A couple of things here. I don't understand how issues like this can happen because of exactly what you said. You've had betas. This is the biggest Xbox release of 2018, if not the entire Xbox One generation, outside of your staples like Gears or Halo or whatever. And thirdly, you knew going in that this was going to be in a service that you're pushing to people and giving free trials of that people were hoarding in order to use for this game. So, like, for you to not anticipate that your servers are going to be flooded day one, it just seems to lack some foresight in it. And I understand, like, you can only do so much in the closed environment of, like, Q&A. But there just has to be more anticipation on the part of an experienced developer like Rare.
Yeah.
To know that this was going to happen.
Well, now, to be fair to Rare, they aren't, I guess, used to, like, this is one of their first big multiplayer games, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, this is not just happening with Rare, it's happening with everybody. Like, we have these crazy first, like, day one server issues, like, oh, we didn't expect this many people. And I hear this, like, every time a game with a multiplayer component releases. And you would think it'd be like the Tomb Raiders that have, like, this weird style multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Maybe they don't expect to get flooded with people on their servers day one. But Call of Duties, Halos, how does it get harder than it was on the 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when this stuff like first started becoming huge? Like, I don't remember, we didn't have these problems back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the norm now. It's the expectation. I don't buy games day one that have a multiplayer component because I have no illusion that I'm going to be able to play them on day one because of the server issues. Usually it's about a week before everything's ironed out.
At least. Sometimes longer.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's super frustrating that I don't understand why we can't figure this out.
And I also don't understand why we keep paying for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and we've been... go ahead.
Things have gotten better on that front, and I think it's to a point... I think as this is just the norm, like, people just expect it, and they're not mad about it anymore because it's not as bad as it used to be. The issues aren't as glaring as they used to be. But I'm not one of them. I do wish more people would. Because you're right. If more people would just stop buying these things day one, then that's where change happens when you vote with your wallet. No one cares what you tweet at them or what your Facebook post or whatever.
Yeah.
But when pre-orders for Battlefront 2 start getting canceled en masse.
Yeah.
En masse. Whatever.
En masse.
En masse.
Yeah.
That's how stuff happens. That's how it gets done. And I mean, the gaming's got to change, like we talked about last week, because I'm having a little baby. But if I weren't, I think I would be at this point anyway, where I'm like, I don't want to buy games day one. I don't want to buy games week one. I don't want to buy games month one. I'm going to have to wait 6 months in order to make sure that this game is like a polished product that I would actually pay the money for, right? And by then, it's usually discounted to like $30.
Right.
So the price is cut in half when the game actually starts to work the way it's supposed to.
It frustrates me on both the industry side of, like, developers, publishers, and all that sort of stuff, but it also does frustrate me on the consumer side in just the sense that we have to understand that before a game comes out, everything that you're given, every single thing that you're given is just marketing. Like, Microsoft and Sony and any big publisher, they're employing people in the marketing industry. They are contracting out PR people to structure how they're going to release information, gameplay videos, betas, all the information that is disseminated in the lead up to a game's launch is marketing for it. And until we recognize our role in that, which is they are really aiming for the hype.
A morning loss of your candle.
Yeah, the last flame has been snuffed out. But when we lean into all of the stuff that is given to you pre-release, all you're doing is leaning into the marketing that's been so controlled, right? And it's when the marketing gets out of hand, a la Battlefront 2's, stuff, that we can really start to make educated decisions. But the fact of the matter is you don't need anything day one. And so for you to get frustrated when you hop in day one and it doesn't work, on the one hand, I understand. You spent money, you want the product to work. But on the other hand, wait a day or two and you'll see all this stuff come out. And literally every outlet that covers games is racing to cover every last detail of a Sea of Thieves, of a Destiny, of a Battlefront. There is no shortage of information to make an educated decision about what to purchase. And we've advocated from the start of this podcast not to pre-order. And I think you have to go in with an expectation now when you buy day one, and it's sad to say that there are going to be things in this game that do not work. There are going to be things in this game that have to be rolled back or shut off or patched in. And to an extent, if you're going to be a day one adopter, you have to be okay with those things, right? And stop saying they told me to expect this or that, and recognize that everything that they told you to expect is marketing, and you're just buying into it until it's released, and you can actually read people's untethered opinions about it, or when they've played it in an environment that isn't, we flew out to Santa Monica and played this or whatever, So I don't know. I don't know if I'm to the point you are of not wanting to play stuff day one, but I am to the point of just recognizing that if I do, that stuff's going to exist.
There are definitely things that I still want to play day one, and that I will bear with it, right?
Yeah.
But I've got to really be dedicated. I've got to really be looking forward to some of these things. It's got to be a Halo. It's got to be a Destiny, something like that. So yeah, you just gotta weigh it out. But I just don't understand. I understand and I don't understand how we are where we are.
Well, while we're on this topic, I do want to bring up another story that was in our news, and that is about No Man's Sky, because I think that's another good example of a game that came out. And it had issues across the board in a bunch of different ways. But so this is over on Polygon from Colin Campbell. It says No Man's Sky next update teased. Game is headed to Xbox One. Hello Games is planning a new update for its space exploration game, No Man's Sky, called Next. It's due to be launched this August. No Man's Sky will also be released on Xbox One later this year to complement current platforms, PlayStation 4 and Windows PC. The Xbox One version will be available digitally and physically, with the disc release set to be distributed by 505 Games. And that's really all the information that we have thus far about what's coming in this. But this is one of those things, I feel like, kind of stemming off what you're talking about, for day one adopters of games, you have to start kind of looking at yourself as beta testers for a game. What needs changed? What needs tweaked? Think about how much Destiny 2 has changed since it's come out. I'm not saying you have to be okay with it, but I am saying you have to recognize it. The day one release of No Man's Sky for PlayStation 4 is going to be almost incomparable to what Xbox One is going to get day one.
Right.
And to me, that's frustrating, because I was one of those people, and we covered this when No Man's Sky launched. I was one of those people who bought it digitally, got frustrated both by the fact that there were things that were promised in the game that were not delivered upon, and frustrated by the fact that Hello Games had just gone completely radio silent because of all the backlash, and I asked for a refund. Whereas if I would have gotten the version that's coming out for Xbox One day one,
right,
it'd be a whole different ballgame. And all these people that are like, come back to No Man's Sky, it's a great game now. All these things have happened to it. I'm okay with a tweak here and there, but the fact that this is something totally different than the product that was originally delivered, it is frustrating.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that, this was one of the games as it was being teased. I was so jealous of PlayStation users. But now that it's coming to Xbox, I just don't have any interest in it. Because I don't trust that it's going to be, that it's going to come across solidly. And if there are issues, I don't trust that Hello Games is going to take care of them in a timely manner.
Yeah.
And if this game had launched successfully on PlayStation from the get-go, I'd be real hyped about this game right now, probably. But I'm just not. I could go back and spend the time figuring out what actually wound up being the final product. But and I may do that for the sake of this podcast, but I would not do that for the sake of my own personal, I want this game? Yeah. Like, at this point, I have no idea what this product is, and I'm not going to get it.
Right.
As a gamer.
All right. Let's move on to my topic, guys. So, I get pumped for E3 every year. I love E3. Because I love being a cog in the marketing wheel, guys. Mm-hmm. I buy into the hype of E3. Maybe not necessarily what is announced, but just the spectacle around it, right? And so, come June or end of May, we will have our E3 predictions episode, which I have already begun. Curating my list of predictions.
Ain't you fancy?
We will talk about I want you on that podcast, Seth. So we'll schedule this around your time.
Oh, okay.
All right. So hire a babysitter and come on down and give us 25 E3 predictions. Anyway, but what I want to talk about now is not what do you think we will see or the predictions that we will see, but what do you want to see? We're a couple months away from E3. What do you want to see from the particular companies? As far as games, services, accessories, peripherals.
I think we can all agree right now. Smash.
Of course.
I want it now. I want them. They've got that tournament lined up for it, right? During E3 or something like that.
Sure.
I believe they do have some kind of tournament. Now, I'm hoping that they just say, hey, we're doing this tournament, so watch it, but also while you're watching it, play it on your Switch because it's coming out soon. Right? I doubt that'll happen.
What do you mean play it on your Switch if it's coming out soon?
I mean, it's coming out soon from now, right? I don't know.
I'm very confused as to what you're saying.
Don't worry.
Okay, I was making sure that I didn't miss the first half.
Bottom line, I don't know.
Smash.
Smash.
Bottom line, Smash. You two are way more excited about Smash than I am. What? And I said this on the podcast where it was announced. I've never been a huge Smash fan. I think it's fun. I think it's a great game to get together and play. I'm terrible at it. I've never been a fan of fighting games, and I understand Smash is it's a fighting game, obviously, but it's kind of in a different vein. It has a unique feel to it. But it's just never been something I can get into.
I'm mainly excited because I love my Switch, but I don't have, I feel, enough first-party Nintendo games to really... Now, they're the Kirby's out there in the world, which really, who cares about Kirby?
My wife.
Okay. Well...
My wife.
I understand.
And, things like that. But I want more of the people that I love, right? The characters that I love. And Smash is a great way because it jams all of them into one game, and you just get to go to town, wailing on Marios and Luigis and all those guys. And I'm excited to see kind of who they put in there now, like Breath of the Wild, Link, all these guys. I don't know. I just want something new and exciting to play on my Switch, right?
Yeah.
I'm ready to finally see Halo 6. There has to be something this year. There has to be.
I guarantee you there will be something this year.
And... it's a weird sort of excitement because I've expressed before I have concerns about where Halo is going to go because I don't feel like Halo 5 was super great at being a continuation of Halo 4. I think there's a lot of disconnect. Having played through both of them again, they're a little more connected than I thought they were. That helped. But I still don't really know what direction they're going to go with it. And this game's going to be make or break it for me as far as... am I still going to continue to be a big Halo fan? I didn't think Halo 5 was particularly great, and I'm hoping Halo 6 just pulls out of the nosedive.
So what is it? If you were in charge of that very task, taking what Halo 5 did and salvaging it somehow, what would that look like? Like, what would be satisfying for you?
I have no idea. I don't know how you resolve the two stories that you've told in one thing. And Halo 5, spoiler alert, ends with Cortana as the villain. And I just find that super dissatisfying. Like, that it's a weird turn, and you can explain it away with her rampancy, but it's not a satisfying story arc for me, for her to fall as a villain and be at odds with Master Chief. So, I don't know how you're going to make this satisfying for me, but in the course of trying to do that, whatever they show at E3 has to tell me what the story's going to be. It can't be E3 however many years back where it's just Master Chief wearing a shroud and something comes out of some desert sand. Like, you got to give me an idea of where you're going with this story.
But that trailer was a couple years after its release, and for all intents and purposes, you gotta think that this Halo is coming out before the next E3, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It has to be that. It can't be a, hey, we're working on this.
Right. It's been, what, 3? Has it been 3 years now?
Yeah,
3 going on 4.
So,
yeah, I agree on the Halo front. I would love to see something from it. And Halo 5 was one of my favorite Halo multiplayers, if not, I don't know about all-time favorite. But it's up there. It's up there.
There are things I would like to see done better. I think there was a lot of limitation as far as big team stuff in Halo 5 because they pushed you toward Warzone, but Warzone was pay to win. It was. And I want to see that system stripped out of the game, but we'll see.
But I think mechanically speaking, Halo 5 was the most fun, and it made the most sense. Like, you had abilities in Halo 5 as a Spartan that made sense to have that you didn't have before.
We talked about it when it came out, but it was one of those, having like read some of the novels and things like that, some of the outside material. It made you feel like a Spartan should feel, right, to play. It's weird looking back now to think that Halo was so successful, just like when you're kind of casually walking and shooting a gun, right?
Yeah.
And just crouching, and that's the extent of your abilities, basically.
Yeah.
And some strong punches, but being able to kind of see like the way that the aiming works, like the little holographic image coming from your gun that comes from your helmet, that added a level that actually they address in one of the first Halo novels that was really cool. The abilities it made me feel like a super soldier.
I do agree with all that. Mechanically, it was solid.
Story-wise, I think the story, everyone can agree, is just absolutely the weakest element of the game, which is dissatisfying because a lot of people do go to Halo, unlike Call of Duty, for story. Right,
because it's all interconnected. You know, there's a canon, and I mean, there are loose. I mean, I guess like in Black Ops, there's a thread, but in basically every other Call of Duty game, there's no real narrative thread going through it, so it doesn't have anything to bring you back into. Go ahead.
Sorry, and even after this thing comes out of the Sand trailer, though, like. What was advertised was not what was delivered. Like, it was this showdown between Locke and Master Chief.
One of the greatest marketing campaigns ever that had nothing to do with the majority of the game.
We got so hyped for this thing that didn't happen. Like, there's like a 30-second fist fight between the two, and then they're friends.
Well, and they spent a buku of money to deliver it, too. Like, I remember, I think it was like NBA Finals games. You were seeing, like, commercials for Halo 5 in it.
And those commercials were truly, like, some of my favorite game commercials I've ever seen. Like, they were awesome. You had, like, the one commercial where Master Chief's, like, laying on the ground. He's had the snot beat out of him. Yeah. And he's about to get, shot up by a Magnum. And then you've got the other one where it's like, wasn't there one where Master Chief had beat Lockdown or whatever? Like, those were really cool and really well produced. And, really, really satisfying.
I wish they would have spent as much time on the cutscenes in the game as they did on the advertising.
Sure.
And what I'm getting at with that is, at E3, they need to show me they've got a story, and when the game comes out, it needs to be the story that I've been prepared to receive.
Yeah. That was the point I was going to make to what you said. It's like, they can show you whatever you want. What you get could be completely different.
Because if they don't, if they hype me one direction, go another, and it wasn't even like a twist or something. It was just somebody had a great idea early on and they changed their minds. And if they do that to me again, I'm gonna be like, okay, 343 doesn't actually know what they want to do with this game anymore, and so I'm done.
It sucks because Halo 4 was one of my favorite stories, and that was 343's first game with them, right?
It was great.
I loved that because it added this whole other element. Coming from the Forerunners and all that, and Halo 5 just didn't do that for me. Like, there was this whole kind of like sci-fi fantasy element that wasn't there before. The sci-fi, sure, but like that kind of fantastical forerunner, precursor society thing really just did something for me.
Yeah.
This one should have, because Guardians is in the title. Not so much. You just see some big eagle robots off in the distance, like standing there looking pretty, and then you fought on one of them, right? Or something like that.
And the direction, like Halo 4, my favorite headline from that era was the greatest love story without romance ever told. And then, well, actually, she's your enemy now. What?
I don't know. I don't have.
How often does that happen?
True.
Love and hate.
But there's some in between stuff that makes it make sense when it happens.
That's true.
I don't know. I didn't mind the Cortana thing as much as you did. I think that they could do some cool stuff with that, and the whole action movie like Expendables thing where you've got everybody from the whole franchise teaming up at the end. Spoilers. I didn't like. It's been out for years. Yeah. The time has come. I think that could be really cool, but they've got to do it the right way, and I think that the lead up to that, how they got there, is maybe the issue for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind seeing. I think it would be really cool to see Master Chief and Cortana duke it out, and then maybe he finds a way to resolve her rampancy. Maybe not, and maybe there's this whole tragic element to the ending. So there's some victory, but there's some loss.
Well, she's resolved her rampancy, but it turned her evil for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's been a while since I played it.
And that's I'm actually with you on terms of like I'd be okay. I'm not necessarily opposed to her being evil now.
Mm-hmm.
I am confused about how we got here.
Right.
And the game left me with strong vibes that it's never really going to be explained.
Let me tell you about a little movie called Dragonheart, one of the greatest movies of all time, in which the dragon boy at the beginning of the film gives half of his heart to a young prince in order to like save his life. But crap, he gives the wrong half of his heart. Because your heart is clearly marked into two halves, the good half and the bad half. He gave the bad half.
That is what my doctor said.
To Prince 8. You got the left ventricle, the right ventricle.
He's like, the left one, totally blocked.
But is it my left or your left? Who knows?
It would have been a different movie if he had given the prince the blocked half and he died.
He died anyway.
Right. But no, he gave him the evil half, and so like the dragon was totally good now, and then the prince was totally bad. Because I think that's kind of what Cortana is. The dragon Draco played and voiced by Sean Connery. There's a whole like Craig Ferguson.
Where are we?
Where are we? We don't need to know. But this is why this show is going to be 2.5 hours long. We're shooting for the moon and the stars.
I'm just picturing Cortana with Sean Connery's voice now.
There was this awesome Craig Ferguson stand-up where he's talking about like the voice of Sean Connery. He does this whole bit. And he's like, Sean Connery is not the best actor, but he tells you what you're supposed to know about him. So, like, if he's a secret agent, he's like, I'm a secret agent. If he's a dragon, like in this movie, he's like, I'm a dragon.
Don't make your girl a promise if you don't intend to keep it.
Yeah.
What? All right, so on the Microsoft side of things, I'm just... Much like 343 with Halo 5, I'm going completely over what we previously said.
When Sean Connery plays Bill Gates and comes out of retirement, he'll be like, I am Bill Gates.
What I want to see from Microsoft is... I'm interested in all the Halo stuff too, obviously. I have a prediction that's coming about that. So tune in a couple months.
I think I know your prediction. I
think I've told you the prediction. Yeah. So
is it the Ryan McCaffrey prediction?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
I don't know what Ryan McCaffrey is. The Chief takes off his helmet and is Ryan McCaffrey.
Right, exactly.
He hosts Podcast Unlocked and Podcast Unfiltered for IGN. Check them both out. They're great. Anyway.
Allegedly.
I also... So Phil Spencer has been talking more and more about we want to announce stuff closer when it's coming out, you know? And I think we are finally, hopefully, at the E3 where that's going to happen. I do think we are going to have some stuff about Crackdown, obviously, because there's at least maybe 5 or 6 people that still care about that. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is something else they'll have to revisit. But then outside of that, I do think there is a lot of space for them to announce some things that... we may not have previously even heard of. And so I'm really interested in that. For Sony, I'm more interested in just how are we going to wrap up and put a bow on a lot of the stuff that's already been announced, you know, are we finally going to get a release window for Death Stranding? Are we going to get a release window for The Last of Us? I think we will get a hard release date for Spider-Man if that isn't out already. But there's no date on Spider-Man, right?
I don't think there's a date.
So
there's a season, I think.
Yeah, so So for Sony, it's much more about like putting up hoe on it, right? For Nintendo is really interesting to me because they like to use that time to really lean into their first party stuff. But I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity to present the third party stuff. More and more we're seeing third party publishers starting to believe in the Switch and the sales potential on the Switch. And I'm interested to see how much of that is shown at E3 or if that's going to be like kind of an aside. They'll do a direct in the middle of the summer to highlight some of the third party stuff. But obviously we're going to get more Smash there. We may see some Pokemon stuff, perhaps, which I know you're really interested in seeing Pokemon Switch.
I
am. And then for Ubisoft, it's all about like the games of service stuff. And EA, the big question, I think the biggest question I have with EA is how much Star Wars are we going to see? Mm-hmm. Because now we've got visceral stuff that is just like, God knows when it's going to come out, right?
Yeah.
We have, obviously, we'll probably see some Battlefront 2 DLC. We'll have Respawn, maybe. We don't even really know anything about Respawn stuff, except that a former, someone who formerly worked on God of War is like directing it. So it may be like a third-person action style game, but are they going to have to completely redo that for the same reasons they had to redo the Amy Hennig game? And at that point, Disney has to start questioning, right? Like, if we go through this E3 and all we see is Star Wars Battlefront 2 stuff, doesn't Disney have to start thinking, like, are we really trusting the right company with this?
I hope so. And I hope they decide no and move on to somebody else.
I have faith that whatever they put out as far as, like, the Amy Hennig stuff or the Respawn stuff is going to be good. I think they've learned their lesson on the microtransaction stuff, that there's only so much you can get away with.
I don't think Hennig or Respawn are the issue. EA is the issue.
Right.
I just want to clarify that. I think Respawn's going to do great with their side of things. Mm-hmm. And promptly get crapped on like they did with Titanfall 2.
Yeah, true. You just have to imagine, like, at a point you got to step back and think, is there some mismanagement going on here, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. You guys looking forward to what else? Anything else from the other companies? Well, you're an Xbox exclusive guy.
Yeah. I will be a Switch guy before this year's over.
Heck yes.
But with
you
Xbox,
heard it here first.
With Xbox, I need to see more stuff like Sea of Thieves. It's not just some reiteration. Like, I'm blanking on the words. First party exclusive. Am I using the right language?
You are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're putting it down right. I'm still excited for Spider-Man because I'm not like actively seeking out news for Spider-Man. If I see a trailer on Facebook, great. I just want it to be here because I am almost 100% sure that I will love that game.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to let myself get overhyped for it. I just want it to be here. I want to play it.
Yeah.
Have you seen where the Spider-Man movie is going to be called Into the Spider-Verse?
What?
Yeah. So the Spider-Verse is the thing.
The new Spider movie?
That sounds like a behind-the-sines documentary.
So I thought you were saying they're going to change the name of Homecoming to Into the Spider-Verse.
But that's like the multiple universes Spider-Man, right?
Something like that.
I really hope they somehow get the rights and bring Andrew Garfield in, and you got Garfield and Holland.
Oh, if they brought Toby in.
Yeah.
But it's doubtful, right? Sure.
And Emma Stone comes back, but as Spider-Gwen.
Ooh.
This is all irrelevant. I'm sorry, Luke.
It's okay. It's fantastic.
It's super. It's kind of relevant.
All right, let's move on to the news.
News with the podcast.
I feel like we already addressed like half of these news stories.
We did. We got another half to cover. Then.
All right. It's all about integration.
So, first item on the list: some big changes coming to Destiny 2. And I just we don't talk a lot of Destiny 2 anymore, but I did want to throw this in because I do think the changes they are making are interesting. This is from Brian Barnett over on IGN. It says that their mobile site is trash. Here we go. There it is.
That's a weird way to start their article.
The Destiny 2 Go Fast update has PvE buffs for every weapon type. Bungie has detailed the 1.1.4 update, which is available for download now, will include updates to weapon damage, nightfall strikes, exotic drop chances, and a whole lot more. The update will see damage increases for all weapons across the board, with the submachine guns receiving a 10% boost, linear fusion rifles receiving a 50% boost, pulse rifles, scout rifles, sidearms, and hand cannons will receive 15% boost, and shotguns will receive a 35% boost. The update also alters functionality of damage for some specific weapons, perks, and abilities. Super regeneration rates have been increased, and the movement speed of melee supers such as Fist of Havoc, Sentinel Shield, and Arc Staff have also been increased. An overall buff of the mobility stat will now allow for a significant boost to player speed. The Crucible is also getting changes, with incomplete matches now resulting in a warning or 30-minute suspension for competitive and Osiris playlists. Players defeated while carrying power ammo will now drop half of it on the ground, where any player can retrieve it for 30 seconds. Iron Banner also receives some updates, including a 6v6 mode, finally, and much more frequent power ammo spawns. Players will also spawn more quickly in all quick play modes. So basically, it looks like this is an update to just the speed of the game and the overall, just punch.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Here's the thing, though. Is all that stuff, as good as it is, really what anybody wants?
I think so. I think a big complaint with the PvP was that it was much slower than the first game. So I think it is a big thing they needed to address a year and a half ago.
But now, the speed I'm thinking that you're saying is from the 4v4 aspect of it, right?
Well, no. I think that there were all sorts of issues as far as cooldown times, the amount of damage it took to down an enemy. Sure. I think so. Have they always been balancing? I'm ignorant of this. I know that when Destiny 2 came out, one of the things people were asking for is there needs to be two separate balancing tracks. You need to balance the PvP separate from the PvE because it was always a blanket. Now, is this different? Did they make this change prior to this update that they were going to start balancing the two sides differently?
Yeah, I don't really know.
I don't keep up with it enough to know. I do find that interesting, though, because I think that's something that far too few games that have a real emphasis on both elements do. And so for them to take that track and say, we're going to do some things different in PvE without affecting the way it works in PvP. But no, I agree. It's a part of a larger problem with the game. But you have to start somewhere, right? And
sure, but again, I think their biggest and most glaring problem is just
their most biggest.
The most biggest problem, thank you, is to just keep people coming back. And yeah, there is that dedicated, Brian fan base. We've talked about Brian on the show before, where they just keep going back no matter what and just playing the same things over and over again. But you've got to mix it up somehow. And even between big DLC drops, there's got to be something to keep you coming back, and it's got to be consistent, and it's got to be frequent, and whatever. It's not Faction Wars, and it's not the Iron Banner.
Well, and we could have easily tied this article into Larry's topic about the games as a service, because Destiny 2 is really the one who's, I think, is taking the brunt of the damage from just that mind share, the limited mind share. There are so many other things to play, new experiences to have, and there were far few great changes to Destiny 2 from Destiny 1 to make it feel like a different thing. So people are sitting back being like, I've been playing this game for now 5-6 years, right? It came out in 2013?
Yep.
Or was it 2014?
I think 14.
Okay, so I've been playing this game now going on 4 years. Maybe time to move on and find something different until they can give me something completely unique that's going to draw me back.
Something that's not Curse of Osiris. I must pee.
Okay, go for it. But, I don't know. We've talked about it on this podcast before. I don't know if there are changes that can be made to Destiny at this point that are going to be able to draw people back. I think at this point you have wasted a lot of goodwill with fans who bought into Destiny 1, stuck it out through the grind, and now it looks like you're having to buy into Destiny 2 and then stick it out through yet another grind to get the product that you originally signed up for. And you know me, man. I sometimes like to give companies the benefit of the doubt, but it's just such a familiar rhythm with Destiny at this point that I'm out of it. I'm out of the goodwill for it.
Yeah, and that's actually part of why I don't think this was necessarily a bad update to make, because I think for the people that are plugged in, the easiest thing you could address to get some goodwill with them is to improve the Crucible experience, which is what this is going to do. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to bring people back who have already decided they're done with the game.
Exactly.
Seth's right on that front. And I'm also with you that I don't think there's anything you can do.
Because there's only two ways to bring people back in, right? Either you make the updates to the point where the word of mouth from the friends, the Bryans that you do have that are still playing the game can pull you back in, or you have to just throw in tons more marketing. But at that point, it's like, we've been through this dog and pony show multiple times, and I'm not buying into it again. Mm-hmm. And I think it's even more damning just in the sense that this is a game that like was tailor-made for us, right? Yeah. Like, this is a game that should have gotten its hooks in us deeper, and did for quite a while. But when the content isn't there, or the loot grind isn't there, or the purpose in the loot grind isn't there, it's hard to hold people.
Yeah.
When it feels like, man, this stuff is... I'm not a collector of anything, Larry. Like, nothing. In real life or in games. And so when the loot grind just becomes about collecting stuff and getting it because it exists... Yeah. That's not enough.
Yeah.
And there were far too few modes where your loadout, your light level, and all that stuff mattered. So, all right. Next item on the list. I'm going to read it loud for you, Seth. The new Microsoft Terms of Service adds offensive language to the list of bannable offenses. This is over on Polygon as well from Colin Campbell. Article reads, Microsoft has updated its Terms of Service for online services, including Xbox Live, with a warning that offensive language could result in a ban or suspension. The new Terms of Service document is being sent out to registered users of Microsoft services such as Xbox Live and Skype. One update spotted by activist blogger Jonathan Corbett specifies offensive language. According to the company's updates document, quote, in the Code of Conduct section, in the Code of Conduct, what is wrong with me? In the Code of Conduct section, we've clarified the use of offensive language and fraudulent activity is prohibited. We've also clarified that violation of the Code of Conduct through Xbox services may result in suspension or bans from participation in Xbox services, including forfeiture of content licenses, Xbox Gold membership time, and Microsoft account balances associated with the account. End quote. So, Larry, you can now get banned for saying bad things online.
So I was real surprised by this initially, and it just seems unrealistic.
Right.
Because how do you enforce it exactly? I mean,
well,
the report system. Yeah.
But when you read a little more deeply, it's not. They specify it's not about foul language, so not profanity, which is just rampant in gaming culture, but more specifically words that are more wounding. They're specifically looking at slurs directed at women and minorities. Mm-hmm. And I think that is much more enforceable, and I would love to see that enforced a little more solidly.
But, I mean, it's more enforceable in its specificity, that like it narrows down what you're looking for, but I still think it's the report system in any kind of online services is flawed as much as you're able to review the content, right? And unless they can go back and like listen to audio logs,
that's kind of what I was driving at.
Right. You're really just going on someone's word against mine, right? And which and look, this isn't anything new, and I think they point out this is a clarification of an existing rule. This is not necessarily adding something to it, but when you give somebody that more specific language to tack onto, you're going to notice reports of this kind of stuff go up because it's gotten attention on this podcast across, different gaming outlets, stuff like that. But I think one of the biggest barriers right now to people going full on digital is exactly what's stated in this article, that your account being banned can lead to your forfeiture of your license. And look, I am all for, if you're a jerk online and you say offensive things to minority women, to anyone, anything disparaging to those sorts of people, then you should have to forfeit your right to participating in online games. Mm-hmm. I do not believe that you being a jerk should lead to the forfeiture of hundreds of dollars worth of content that you've purchased because your account gets banned.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, does the punishment match the crime? And I just can't see anything that's said online that should result in the loss of hundreds of dollars worth of merchandise.
I do agree.
Thousands of dollars, possibly.
Yeah.
And in a big drive to, for digital sales, and is that really the best tactic to use to because you might wonder, some people may say things they don't mean and use words that they don't mean, just being funny, like in their, like how, some people say like the word gay, not really in in the way that it's supposed to be used. But like when somebody says, "Hey, that's so gay," they don't literally mean it's homosexual, or they don't mean it necessarily. They don't mean to use it in a derogatory way, but some people, especially younger kids, just say stuff like that. Could they get banned and lose all their parents' money that they've invested into their systems?
And they need corrected, but
sure,
they don't need everything their parents have bought nuked.
Right. There has to be a scale of these things, like because the key is you're trying to get people to the point where you don't say that online, right?
Yeah. Right.
And to tack on to that, there is a margin of error here where we've seen PlayStation like ban people's accounts without solid reason, and it's so hard to get that corrected. And I just read a story last week. There was a guy on Xbox Live from the town of Fort Gay, West Virginia, and he was he was getting banned for use of gay as a slur, but he wasn't. He was saying he was from Fort Gay,
right?
And it took the mayor of his town reaching out to Xbox Live to get his account straightened out.
Well, and there was a story about another guy who his name was Muhammad or something that that was like reported as being offensive, but it was his name, like his literal legal name on his birth certificate kind of deal, and his account got nuked, and he lost everything that he had bought, and he had spent thousands of dollars on digital purchases, and it's the problem with any kind of what's the word? Like a no tolerance policy with these sorts of things, and you have to imagine. I imagine that this is a scaled, like, hey, we're going to suspend your account if you do it again. But even that, you're losing 15, 30, however long your suspension is, being able to access your digital content. And for me, that would make my Xbox One X a $500 brick because I don't own any physical games for it, Yeah. And this is going to continue to be an issue until the government steps in a regulatory way of saying digital content, you own the content. You don't own the license to the content. But that's not pro corporation. So I doubt that's ever going to happen,
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing like and we may have even talked about this on the podcast that like there was a big court case about, well, can you will your iTunes library to somebody? And it's like, well, no, because as soon as you die, you forfeit the license to that product. You can't give it to somebody else. So this is a question more about ownership than it is about terms of service, right? And you don't really own the digital stuff that you own. You just have access to it.
Did you mention Bruce Willis?
That's the case.
That's the case.
Okay, I was making sure. I wasn't in the room. I was making sure.
I don't think you mentioned it by name just now, but that was who the case centered around.
Yeah.
And that case, actually, I was moving toward buying digital music, and it actually moved me away. I'm more likely to buy an album now because I can leave my daughter my CD collection
if she wants it.
She probably doesn't, but if she does,
yeah. All right, let's just skip these last couple stories because we're just going to rehash stuff we've already talked about, and let's move on to everybody's favorite segment, the random question of the week for the month. For this week.
It makes no sense.
Larry?
Yeah?
It's your random question.
Yeah, it is.
Lay it on us, boy.
Luke, you and I share a mutual love that I don't think Seth necessarily does.
Yes.
But we're going to let him weigh in on this anyway.
Oh, I love to weigh in.
What are your top 3 favorite coffees? I'm not talking a type of coffee drink, but a specific blend of coffee.
Right, because we are men.
We are men.
And we drink our coffee black.
We do.
That would have been
and
my
cold,
random question.
Ice cold.
This would have been my random question. Good thing you didn't choose me.
All right, well, I will begin. We just giving our whole list?
Yeah, and go 3, 2, 1.
Ooh, okay.
So actually, let's take turns. Let's say our 3, and then our 2, and our 1.
All right.
So in the way that I agreed with what you said, I actually am totally
disagreeing. Right. Number 3 is the Dark Sumatra from Starbucks. Mm-hmm. It is delicious and nutritious.
Really? Tell me more.
Coffee is good for you. Antioxidants or something.
something.
I don't know.
Sure, whatever. Caffeine is
Hey,
beneficial.
dog, don't be eating the poop out of the litter box. We're right here. At least wait for us to leave. But yes, the dark Sumatra coffee. It's
sneeze
deep.
that crap out of your nose.
It has a deep flavor. It is. I don't like fruity coffees, and a lot of the Starbucks blends that they do have like fruity or floral undertones, and that one has none of that.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
dark Sumatra.
All right.
Seth, Maxwell House.
Yes. No. Here's the thing. I really don't care what I'm drinking. I do like your very your flavorful dark roast blends and yada yada. But a lot of the times I'm just happy to be drinking something hot or cold. Now, I don't have a way to rank them, so I'm just going to put all mine out there, my favorite stuff, and then I'll let you two hash out, do whatever you do, just to totally ignore your system of rules and ethics, which you have put forth for this random question of the week.
For the
week. I like cafe vanilla frappuccinos. Feel like for a nice iced coffee, whipped cream kind of thing.
So you are doing coffee drinks.
Yeah, I am.
Frappuccino. So you like milkshakes.
That's the only one. Now, I also like white chocolate mochas. Delicioso.
Are you giving us all of your top 3 right
That's
now?
what he said.
Yeah. That's what totally ignoring everything you said. And then the Starbucks Toasted Graham K-Cup.
Finally, an actual...
It is the finest Starbucks K-Cup available.
I do enjoy it. I enjoy that K-Cup.
Well, I think it is. I think the Starbucks K-Cups are superior because they are one of the few brands that don't use instant coffee in their K-Cups. It's actually
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Butternut toffee is pretty good too, but I don't think it holds a candle.
Look here, Ben Hankins. We said 3, not 4. All right.
And I feel like you were about to continue onto a 5.
All right, Larry, what's your number 3?
All right, my number 3 is Red Rooster. It's actually roasted in Stewart, not far from here.
Yes, that is the roaster for the coffee shop that I go to. The 4 and 20 is delicioso.
420.
4 and 20.
Wake and bake, dude!
Like the blackbirds baked in a pie.
Well, I like their plain, regular Red Rooster coffee. I think that is their default blend is called Red Rooster. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
4 and 20 is our dark roast.
So they opened a bakery in my town. That's only 5 minutes walk from my house, and I was so thrilled with this. And what they served was Red Rooster. I went there all the time for Red Rooster coffee. And one of my friends came in from college, and I took him to this coffee shop to enjoy this Red Rooster coffee. And I took a big gulp and made a face, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Something's not right." And I found out that my supposed coffee shop decided Red Rooster was too expensive, and they were now serving Members Mark from Sam's Club.
What?
I do not buy coffee.
That's not a coffee shop.
Right.
Oh man, so I am a bit of a coffee snob, and I'm one of those guys. If it's available and it's all that's available, I guess I'll drink it. But I'm not going to pay you money for it.
Right. I'm not, especially like it was. They were having $1 coffee that day. If I had paid full price for Members Mark coffee, I'd have thrown a Molotov into their building.
Oh God, it's domestic terrorism. Don't set Larry off. I was selling a store. So I went to this coffee shop one time, and I was like, what kind of coffee do you guys have? And he was like, regular and decaf. Turned right around. Left that place. They don't deserve my patronage, right?
Right.
They deserve my patronization, which is where I just patronize them. Not with an S, though.
And I deserve Patron.
Exactly.
They deserve my Patronus.
Hey.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2
for me. Trader Joe's pumpkin spice.
That is pretty good. I drink it here.
It's very, very
at your
good.
house.
I like it for multiple reasons. Number 1, it has a legit like pumpkin spice flavor, not a pumpkin pie flavor, not a pumpkin whatever, like an artificial pumpkin flavor. It is nutmeg, cinnamon. It's like what actual pumpkin spice is. So I appreciate that. Number 2 is the fact that it is pre-ground for a French press. So I don't have to buy the whole bean or anything like that. You just get it and you can use it in a French press, which is the number 1 way to make coffee.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, Trader Joe's pumpkin spice.
All right, my number 2 is Starbucks Kenya. So Kenya is the only place
The entire country.
where black currant grows, and somehow it gives this coffee a juicy flavor. And I read that and I was like,
Did you say black curd or currant?
currant.
Okay.
So I read that this coffee was juicy, and I was like, what does that mean? That's why I bought it. I had to know, how can a coffee taste juicy? And once you taste the coffee, you're like, juicy. I get it.
They make K-cups?
No. But it's so unique, and if you haven't tried it, you should, and I'll buy a bag soon and make you try it.
I think you've had me try this before. I think I tried it at a cold temperature, though.
Okay, that doesn't sound... I don't know. I'm not big on most cold coffees.
Oh, no. I think that you brought it to my house, and like it had been in your cup for a while, and you were like, you want to try this? It's kind of cold, but you'll still get the essence of it.
Juicy.
Number 1 for me, I don't know exactly who the roaster is. I think there's multiple people who make this. It's just like a flavor of being able to a flavor of a roast called Jamaica Me Crazy.
Yeah.
They used to sell it at the coffee shop I go to. They also sold it at a coffee shop in Myrtle Beach or Carolina Beach that I visited. But it's just it's real chocolatey. Like it's a chocolatey roast. And again, the Kenyan thing, juicy, doesn't sound appealing to me. It sounds intriguing, but it doesn't sound appealing because it sounds like in order to achieve that, it's either got to be fruity or floral.
Okay.
So, things with deep flavor, deep, rich flavors.
As I slide into number 1, I'm going to halfway pull a Doug Martin pulling a Ben Hankins.
Oh gosh!
And just say,
be prepared to interrupt him as soon as he goes for the 4th option.
that I didn't put any of the like seasonal options on the list. I love pumpkin spice coffees. I love Starbucks Holiday Blonde during the Christmas time, but since I can't have them year round, I didn't put them on there because I don't know. I want to always drink, but that's not even true of my number 1 anyway. What I'm saying is I struggled here. There are a lot of things I love.
Folgers.
Every day I wake up and pour myself a cup. No.
Is it Scotty McCreery singing about
yes,
Folgers?
yes.
Folgers?
Yes.
We've completely lost Seth.
My number 1, Cassie Cielo from Starbucks. I freaking love it.
Cassie Cielo?
Yes.
That sounds like a woman's name.
Well,
hello, Mrs. Cielo.
It is wonderful.
Have I had that one? I believe I have.
Probably. If you've been to my house.
How does one have a woman?
All right, so that's for a totally different podcast and website that I'm about to launch. Inside Jokes with P3P.
Inside Jokes with the P3P.
If you want to know what that was all about,
notes is
email
fantastic.
me, player3podcast@gmail.com. I'll loop you in, all right? All right.
That's it.
So, to recap, you like crap. Me and you like good coffee. All right. Who are you, Larry?
I'm Larry. You can find me on Twitter at
You
Larry
and I
Zombies.
like good coffee.
LARHUTS Zombies. And whom is never actually correct.
Is that from Community?
It's from The Office.
Oh, The Office. Okay. That's right. I remember. All right. So.
Shut up.
All right. I'm Luke Croft. I'm Luke Croft. You can find me on Twitter at TK from Antioch. And we're the Player 3 Podcast over here on twitch.tv/Player3Podcast, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, youtube.com/Player3 Podcast. Follow, subscribe, leave a review, do all that stuff. Send Seth some money that he can then give to me. But make sure that it is stolen and in sequential bills so that the FBI can track him down. All right. We are the Player 3 Podcast. Player 3 Podcast.
Yeah.
Changed it up.
That's what Seth always does. P3P.
It's all right, I guess.